So Collyn Lowry, starting goalkeeper for Baker University men's soccer. So if you ever see BUMS, that's what that means. It's not like a knock, right? It actually just means Baker University men's soccer. Collyn, your brother Will works with a group. Your brother Lucas works with a group. It's crazy to have three goalkeepers in one family, but you guys are an odd bunch. So we're going to talk about the most recent result against Friends University, 2-1 loss. Talk about how you saw the game and just your role in it.
Yeah, so first half, I think we kind of came out and kind of had to get our legs under us a little bit. First game of the spring. It'd been a while since we'd gotten out and played. And I thought first half we kind of controlled things well. There wasn't a whole lot I had to do. A couple goals saved off crosses and whatnot, but nothing too crazy. I was able to help slow things down a little bit in the back, but really just kind of help maintain that defensive shape. And the guys did well in the first half. Then into the second half, things got a little crazy, and you could tell that, maybe the team wasn't quite ready for a full 90 minutes yet, being so early in the year. And we had a couple little breakdowns. One very impressive volley off a corner that, it happens every once in a while. Someone hits a shot of their life.
Yeah, we'll go over those two goals for sure. But the result was a 2-1 loss. I thought, like you said, the first half, I thought both teams early on were just trying to find themselves a little bit. And then actually the only thing they had was we were fouling kind of in unnecessary ways, leading to free kicks that were just being pumped into the box. Other than that, they didn't have a ton of rhythm to the game. And then obviously they got a little bit of spark when they tied the game at 1, and then a little bit more momentum after that. But I didn't think they, broke us down or anything. I think, like a lot of goals you concede, we were our own worst enemy. So I'm going to now work technology and share my screen, and you're going to be like, whoa, coach, that's really impressive.
Yes.
All right. So once again, BUMS does not mean a bad thing. Okay. So we're going to go over some distribution clips to start with. All right. And as we watch through, just going to kind of freeze it every now and again. All right. So we receive a pass back. Obviously, what are we looking for? Pressure pockets. We're looking for good movements early on from our backs and our midfielders and frontline players as well. So what do you see here? I mean, you may not remember every play exactly, but what do you see here?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what I ended up doing, but I can see we've got the two forwards kind of closing in on Riyadh there. He'd be my left center back. Potentially
Right here.
Massimo, the right center back, has a little more space. Potentially he'd be a better option, or over the top to Dan, the outside left back. If maybe I can't tell exactly how much space he's got between that outside winger. But yeah, I can't remember exactly what I ended up doing, but
yeah, that's what I love. This is kind of
out.
choose your own adventure, right?
Right.
You're going to start getting pressed by this frontline player, and actually you're going to choose the longer option here. Now, I think you meant to hit this diagonal ball.
Right. Yeah. Into that space at least.
Which I think, probably would have been the best bet. Because if you end up playing Massimo on the right side over here where my cursor is, I think this player goes and presses him. And Massimo's good on the ball. He'd have been fine. But I think this was a good option here. One-on-one on the wing, maybe a flick gets played in. But obviously
leave it a little short.
Left it a little bit central and short, but it doesn't lead to anything. It actually leads to an opportunity the other way. All right, you just made a save on this one, and your first look is the opposite direction. You sprung a good play here. This is a good ball, good pace to it. All right, so now I think this is a ball over the top you collect. What we're trying to do is find our shape here if we're not going to play early. So obviously our central center backs get wide to play. So you end up playing the short option. So right here, what I want you to think about is when you play this ball, did you ever see this player? So we'll just watch.
It doesn't look like I ever
right?
really looked up to the
Yeah, just watching. So your head now, you are playing the most technical player on the field in Massimo. So, and I think that's just ingrained in your head. Like this guy, I can give this guy the ball under pressure no matter what. But what's a better
right.
option here?
Just going straight to Mo. He's got
Right.
50 yards of space.
So this player who was back here initially reads this and starts to press. Massimo's body shape is faced towards you, away from where we want to go. And then this is the right read right here. If he stays back here, then obviously that's on all day.
I will. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say that was. I'm not sure if you got the clip in here later, but in at least one more instance, I can remember that happening and kind of picking up on it. By that point, it had been Finn in there, so it was a different right back. But yeah, I think that guy was creeping up the whole game, and I didn't look at it there.
Right, but I think you just you have a player in Moss that you trust so much that it's almost like clockwork for you. But so Moss, look how technical he is. He ends up playing that same ball, but now we're receiving the ball back at the 15-yard line rather than, possibly taking a good first touch and attacking down the wing. You know what I mean? So just do the work early before that ball is played back to you to read the pockets of pressure that are happening. So, but yeah, another back pass here. So this ball they have 3 frontline players. There's not a ton of options. But you decide on one early, a little slip there, but that's a great ball. I mean, you read it early. The player that's pressing on the front line can't catch up to this ball over the top, right? So, as we watch this back, they have their 3 frontline players. That player starts to realize what's about to happen to him as you look to play quickly. And, a better touch down the line, and you're bypassing that guy. So it's a good ball. So here's Moss turning out of pressure. All right. So what are you thinking here? What are you looking for?
I had the guy coming on my right side, so I didn't feel completely comfortable trying to cut that back to Moss. And then I saw the guy creeping up on Riyadh, the other center back. And so if I remember correctly, I put this one over the top to Dan as well.
Yeah. So it's a good ball. Yeah. I mean, no complaints there. It's a good decision. You make it early. You don't hesitate. It's a good ball. All right, so you go long here, and there are worse outlets than that one. But what's interesting to me is sometimes you trust Moss implicitly no matter what, like the one we showed earlier.
Right.
What do you think?
I think he's on. He could have been played there.
Right, so we could have kept possession, and you kind of could have changed your angle. Also, it could have opened up by you playing in here. This player could have come here, and it could have opened up this middle space if you get the ball back. So just playing in a triangle. The biggest issue that I want some of the younger goalkeepers that are watching to understand with the ball that you played is, so Moss at a high level, our center backs are taught to split wide. And then you have your 6 that comes underneath, right? In a lot of this 4-3-3 system. But when you bypass, it leaves a lot of gaps, right? So this ball, if this ball gets knotted back over the top, Moss is out of shape, other center backs out of shape, our outside backs out of shape, and our 6 is underneath. So, if that ball's not one clean, plus second balls around, we don't have numerical advantages either. So you can see that second ball is won by them. But, there are worse outlets. Like, we're not going to necessarily concede directly off that, but it happens. If that ball gets knotted back towards goal, they have 2 players that were pressuring the initial ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then it's a really good ball. Better touch and we're out. But that's a really good ball. What I like about it is, you're not hesitating on those. So let me go back to that. See if nope. So we're back here. Okay, that's all right. So all right. So kind of a scrum 50-50 gets outlet played back to you. Let's watch the action. What do you?
I think
What
I
do you?
remember this one.
Yeah, do you? Talk me
I think
through it
so.
then.
This is the one that they kind of get a piece on, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it came back and I went for trying to take a touch and potentially playing out, and I should have just probably hit it first time, or potentially I'm looking now and seeing Riyadh's open. I didn't realize that at the time.
Yeah, but look how your
But as soon
body's
as I
shaped.
as soon as I take that touch, though, I kind of screwed myself.
Yeah, I
And
mean, the touch puts you in a position where, first of all, maybe you could have had a little bit more help. All right, so you have that conversation after the fact.
right.
That touch kind of, you have two options. You curl this ball around, play it out of bounds, type of thing, or
Right.
you make this guy look silly with that head fake and pull the ball back this way. Now I know Coach Hauser, I know which option he would prefer to not give him a heart attack. I might have
Right.
put the ball back here. But yeah, look, he's flying in and he gets a piece of it and it leads to, he's offside in the end, but it leads to a little bit of pressure.
Right.
So once again, I think, right when this ball's played back, recognize how fast this player is coming and how little time we have to get shape. If you take a look here as well, you don't have this short outlet without facing pressure, because once that ball's played short, this player's going to tee off. So I think the best probably decision here is either clear it first time up the field or take a better first touch. If you take a better first touch, I think you're still safe here. But where do you think your first touch has to be to be successful here if you're going to take a touch?
It probably has to. It's got to be able to give me a second option, because I cut Riyadh off completely by forcing myself to the corner.
You either need to pull it around, but also notice where the touch took you, right underneath your body.
Right.
So if you take a touch towards the corner flag where you're facing, the problem is that player's momentum's already going there.
Yeah.
You can still get away with it if you're clean. If you take a touch towards Riyadh on the other side, you may be able to get more out of it, but you've got to do a little head fake to get yourself to get there. But yeah, you close yourself off and then it leads to a dicey first touch, dicey play. But at the end of the day, he's offside and no harm.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, it's a good ball. All right, it's a good ball. So good decision, facing pressure, calm touch under pressure, and play that long diagonal ball. Before we go into wide serves, when we do training exercise stuff, where it's just simple, passing patterns, and Collyn, like, it's crazy how many times you're on the ball in that game where it's just like, just play the easy option and play the lead foot. But if you play the back foot, at this level, it's automatic, like Collyn, lead, you know what I mean? So I think young goalkeepers that are in training sessions where we're just doing simple passes, like, it's because at this level, you're on the ball so much. I mean, if we did every clip that you're on the ball, we'd be here for all day. So, there's about 150 passes you completed to the proper foot in that game that just, it should be automatic, and it was. So I don't show those for obvious reasons. All right. So wide serves now. Okay. So this ball's going to get played in behind. I think, you're taking up a good starting position. Your body language is trying to read that through ball. All right. So now what are we looking for here?
Watching our defender, seeing what he can force, if he can kind of force him back to that outside, but also that back post. I haven't looked yet, but that's what I should be checking to make sure we got no one coming.
I mean, you got to find your spot and goal, and then do a little bit of due diligence on the far side. But what are you communicating here to your defender?
Communicating not to dive in, and then also to try and force him to that outside. We don't want to let him cut back and put it on his right foot. So if we can continue to use that sideline to be a second defender almost, that can be helpful.
Perfect. So, yeah, I mean, his body language is going the whole way. Now you can see you're pointing, just making, you don't even have to look necessarily. I mean, you do want to look to see what's going on, but that communication piece is just automatic for you. And then you're in a good starting position. You know, the way he's shaped up, you could even be, can you see my cursor?
Probably a step more.
Yeah, you could, because his body's going away from goal. So you could be more aggressive on that 45-degree plane. You could be a little bit more aggressive, but you do really well to pick it up and you're there. All right. So next one, the ball's played over the top, diagonal, no chance for you to get it. Once again, you're looking to the back stick. You can see you're organizing the back stick. It's a little bit of a panic mode to that back stick.
Yeah,
right?
I remember this one. Yeah.
All right. So talk us through.
Just specifically, I remember looking and seeing Moss, I think had, I can't remember exactly what had happened right before this, but I think he might have stepped up and tried to help out in the midfield a little bit, because I looked back and saw Mo.
Center, so right here.
Yeah, because Mo's beating him back and he's got two guys there. So I'm yelling at him to essentially take care of that.
What talk about your starting position?
On the initial ball in or right now?
Right. So right here, and then he's going to play it here. Right. What do you think?
I could probably step up maybe a little more. He's not really in an angle that allows him to put anything on target.
So it's really tough, like from this camera view, but I almost feel like you're high enough outside like your goal. I don't think you can be like higher up here, but
right.
I think you're too high like here, especially with your first read being like, okay, so let me go back. The danger's on the far post, right?
Right.
So with your first read being there, like, you know, you don't want to be caught too high anyway, but this is really the player you're worrying about coming into this space first and foremost.
Right.
If the ball gets lofted to this player on the back post, okay, that gives us a chance. We can deal with it. But we want to put ourselves in a position to get to that near post. If I'm this player, I would have hit that ball early, but he doesn't.
Right.
Now it allows our defenders to get back in shape. But so maybe almost a step back on that 45-degree plane so that you're closer to this spot rather. So if he does chip it over you to the middle, you're not so high this way. But once again, it's Collyn, it's a little bit hard to tell. I mean, I could be totally off there. But yeah, the player, he whips it into that near space that we always talk about. You shape up there and we deal with it. All right. So now it's going to be from a higher angle. You have players making runs into the box that we're organizing. You remember this?
Not exactly.
Okay. So it's harmless in the end, but it's actually a really kind of teasing ball. So
right. I think I'm waiting. I was worried about the guy making the run in that he was going to get a piece of it.
Yeah. So you're waiting. There's no way you can go there because of that. They're flashing in front of you. But right here, you know, you're in a good spot. Like you're anticipating this ball in.
Right.
So you're in an aggressive spot. If he slips the ball down the line, we just readjust and maybe that forces our center back out. But you know, there's no way you come for this ball. There's no way. So you're at the mercy of making a reaction save, but your defender does a really good job of shielding and then you pick the ball. So that's well done there. And then an early outlet, obviously. And then the final one, you can see the player directing, hey, this is going to get flicked by me. All right. So what are we thinking here? What do you think?
Trying to make sure our defender gets back in front of him. At the moment, I need to shuffle over a little more, but we've got nothing backside.
Right. So there's no real.
He's kind of forced to
play on the ball. So you get in line quick. You're fine. You know, and really in this situation, if you've done your homework, like this player is not committing to a run. Really, the only thing you're worried about is just a mistake as long as you're balanced. Now, you see the ball, for me, getting to that spot a little bit earlier because watch your body.
Yeah, I still kind of step into it.
Yeah, so he hits this ball there, And now watch, now you're set. So the ball's on its way,
Right.
and you just now set your feet, and now the ball's already on its way, and now you're shuffling across. You know,
Right.
it's really harmless in the end because, you know, we handle it, but just to get to our spots early and, you know, like you were saying at the beginning. All right, so there's, I think, one ball over the top that really causes us problems. I really highlighted this one, Collyn, because these are awkward. So I
Yeah.
think what your center back, what Moss does a good job of is reading the cue. There's no pressure on the ball. He reads the cue. He look at him, he's dropping in, but he's also kind of looking for you. Or it's not Moss either, sorry.
Right.
But
Riyadh, yeah.
yeah, so are you just screaming keeper there? Is it?
I would, yeah, I think so. I don't yeah, I was.
I mean, it seems like he's just there, but you know, it's pretty obvious he's going to get those. Are, like I said, the reason I highlight those is just they're so awkward. It's all about communication here. I mean, this is an innocent play, right? Imagine there's no defender. This is easy pickings for you. There's no pressure. But
Right.
how many times does that like miscommunication happen where you know, you don't call, you know, the defender's wondering what, and all of a sudden the ball bounces between you or something.
Yeah.
So then finally, this ball down the line. All right. So it's similar to the wide area one we talked about.
Right.
The only real threat is what? The guy on the ball, right?
Right.
So in this scenario, you maybe you should shift over to that near post a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
And so he hit the ball's on its way. You do shift over, but that and it's a good save. Don't get me wrong, but like it becomes more dangerous than it should be, right?
Right.
So the ball's played in. Once again, there's no pressure. Nothing else is going to happen. Shift over. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So for everybody watching, like we've been working on finding our spots early, and that's why. And so that's something you and I have talked about though on film before. It's just like, especially when the ball gets wide, you know, it's still kind of a shooting angle, but a serving angle. Get to that spot early and you'll be fine. And then finally, free kicks against. All right, so corner kick.
I remember this one.
Or sorry, it's not a corner kick.
Through the middle, yeah.
Yeah, there's
like
a lot.
Or a couple.
Yeah, there's a lot of antics, but really, like, you know, where they're trying to serve the ball is right in here.
Yeah.
Or one of these big men making a run to the back stick. But
yeah,
the player dancing around you, all he wants to do is get to right where he gets to, and it's actually the player from the 6. So that's a really dangerous ball.
Yeah,
really tough to deal with. And as we go back to it, so I agree. Like we don't need a wall here, but I also think maybe
looking back on it, I remember this exactly, but I had mentioned to those two that we can't get split. But what I should have just had Moss take a couple steps in.
And you know how we set our body, like at trainings, we set our body at 45 degrees.
Yeah.
So I think if he steps in and shades his body so that he can see the runners and everything being made, all the runs being made, then he can see the serve just like a goalkeeper. I think that's how we handle that ball. And if it's played this side to him, then these players need to do their job, right?
Right.
So really dangerous ball. We just watch it one more time. Yep, just anything flashing in front. That defender that stuck his leg out could have tapped that in. Free kick here from distance. Set a wall of 2. Do you have good vision here? Like you see the ball well?
Yeah. I don't remember not having. I don't remember having a problem seeing it.
Okay. I mean, how do you feel about only having like one there?
We probably could have.
It's just I would have two there in case this player does get around,
Runs off. Yeah.
but I'd really make sure that you can see the ball well, because the last thing you want is to give them an advantage from that distance.
Right.
But you get behind it easy. I mean, no problem at
Yeah.
all. All right, so we set our line around the 18 here. It's important we don't drop early. I think only one is in the wall, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think it should only be one. If there's two, can't really. But yeah, we just need to be in a spot. We want room to come for this ball. So I think we set our line, we hold our line. We want to be able to come for this ball if it's put into that space. And it's short. So what do?
Tuck back in.
Tuck back in. Then the ball's headed up. And these are really tough. Like if you're not
Right.
if your feet aren't grounded when that ball gets deflected, you're not, first of all, you're not coming for that. But if that's anywhere closer,
Right.
and then I think the ball gets shaded up again, and here you do really well. It's offside, but that's really good bravery there. So now it is closer, this free kick. What I wanted to highlight here is I think 4 is perfectly acceptable. I don't think you need 5, but like, I don't know what your sight line is here. If I were you and they don't have anybody here, I would move this player over to take away more of the far post. And then you can see through that hole to the ball.
Right. Okay.
Because the most important thing for you here is to see the ball. And so where are your shoulders facing?
Kind of straight out.
Right to the referee.
Right.
So if he's able to put that ball there, you're already offline, right?
Right.
So he hits it there, misses, and you do well, but just tough. All right. And so finally goals. I know our favorite, right?
Right.
This comes down to nothing more than just lack of attention to detail, right? This player, so look at their body language, right? Our players are staring. So this is a good lesson to learn. They can be able to do both with that if their body's shaped properly. You can see this run being had, but from where he is, he's just watching. Player gets right behind him. Everybody's sucking defenders out of that space. All right. Yep. And like you said, a great finish. All right. So, I mean, lesson learned, right? Everyone's got to be able to see multiple things. And then finally, Collyn, I've like analyzed this 100 times, man. This is a really difficult action. And so a couple things I want to highlight here is as this ball is played in. All right. So right now there's no pressure on the player on the ball. Okay. So there's no pressure. Our backs, our outside back and Moss are flat. I don't think you can be any higher than you are.
Okay.
So because if you're higher, maybe a good player is like, well, I'm just going to go for goal maybe.
Right.
But this is good spacing here that if the ball does drop in, you have a chance. The biggest issue I have here, well, first tell me let's watch it. Tell me what you think. Just watching it back. All right. Tough one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teasing ball. Right.
Right.
So what do you think?
I think it was a really good ball that the guy played in. I think I probably could have been a step quicker out to him, but really it starts with me not communicating with the defense. I think there's some miscommunication there on whether Moss is on that guy or if Finn, our outside back's on that guy.
Which is
And
why it's a good ball and it's a good run. It's a better run, right? I mean, in
right.
between, but I don't think you can be a step like you can't. I don't think you can react any quicker necessarily. For me, it comes down to I've watched this thing 100 times. It's the
Yeah.
communication piece and it's the awareness of our backs. So
Uh-huh.
this player is playing off Moss's weak shoulder. But
Uh-huh.
watch as the ball is played. Watch our outside back. All right. So the ball is played now. He still hasn't moved.
Right. He's flat-footed standing there.
Well, he still hasn't moved.
Yeah.
He still hasn't moved. All right. Now he's just going to jog back. So for me,
Right.
a couple things have to happen here. Moss, our center back, has to have just better awareness. And a goalkeeper needs to communicate this. The cue, it's very obvious what he's going to do here. So we need to be screaming to drop in. All right. If we drop in and he plays this pocket here, we can live with that. All right. But this is the danger zone, right? So the other thing that has to happen is this player has to be sprinting at the same time. All right. Your job isn't just as an outside back. That you can see this player making the run. It's harder for Moss to turn. It's easier for you to turn and sprint. So right away, we need to be communicating both players to drop because there's no pressure on the ball. All right. And then it's just a really good ball. And I think it's a brave finish. I think that's the right decision to go at that point. And that's the right decision to be big. And at the end of the day, it can be cut out before it even happens.
Yeah.
So I know it can be tough to be in the film room, my friend. Watch over this stuff, but I hope not just you, but like everybody, like it's a really, really important like learning opportunity.